Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Rachel, and I will be going over one of our newest subject to opportunities that just hit our site today. This property is in Killeen, Texas. If you don't know where Killeen, Texas is, it's about 1 hour to Austin, Texas, 2 hours to Dallas, Texas, and 3 hours to Houston, Texas. So it kind of is a nice overall central location to some of the different major cities, but it is a smaller town. It's mostly known for being close to Army base, which is in the same general vicinity. But if you aren't familiar with subject to, it's basically the ability to purchase a property without having to go out and obtain a loan. It's usually for very, very little cash down. And on top of that, you don't have to utilize your own credit. It's where a buyer or an investor would come in and take over the existing payments subject to the mortgage. So I'm going to kind of give you a quick breakdown on this specific deal, all the details associated with it, and then allow you to kind of do your own analysis and see if this is something that you'd be interested in. So just running through some of the different photos, we uploaded as many as we possibly could. So it's a turnkey property. From what we understand, there's no rehab needed. It was literally built in 2008. This owner has only owned it for a couple of years. I believe it is because they're in the military. They do have a VA loan on it. But it looks like they are now relocating due to work, and they were looking to sell it, but because of the simple fact that they've only owned it for a couple of years, they basically have no equity. So the owner isn't even wanting anything, no cash, nothing. So the entry fee that you'll see is strictly just commission. So this is basically the entry fee that you would pay to own the property. And I'll kind of break down these numbers as well that I have screenshotted. So that is the property. As you guys all know, because if you are familiar with ЛoCasa in our company, a lot of the different deals that we promote are arbitrage opportunities. So that is the process of renting a property with the intention of subleasing it for short-term rentals. Now with this, you actually would be owning it. So where you see the rent price, quote unquote, that is really just the principal, interest, tax, and insurance altogether. The deposit is the EMD that we're requiring, the earnest money deposit, and then the acquisition fee is just the entry fee. We do have a video breakdown of the deal. This is it. So if you guys ever want to come back and watch it and just get a full understanding, you can always come and view it. But the structure, like I said, is subject to the remaining loan balance on this property is $230,638.22. The interest rate is a fixed 5.25%. As we all know, interest rates are higher than that right now with the market, so you're getting this at a discount. The entry cost is $15,000. That is the starting price, so that is what we're taking offers at initially. Obviously, if you want to offer more, there's a higher likelihood that you'll be able to get this property under contract immediately. Now, the monthly PITI is $2311.67, which is a little bit high for the market. But the monthly PITI includes principal, interest, tax, and insurance, but it also includes solar. They pay about $322 in solar every single month because just their PITI alone without solar is a little under $2,000, okay? As I mentioned, it is a VA loan. This person is in the military, and the loan is not due until July 1st of 2052. So you literally have almost 30 years. Like I said, they've only owned it for a couple of years. So almost 30 years to pay off this property and do what you'd like with it. Obviously, if you gain equity and you want to sell it, go for it. If you want to refinance later on, maybe, who knows, interest rates might drop below 5.25, go for it, pull some money out, whatever it is you'd like to do, this is going to end up being your property. So just a quick breakdown, it's a 3-2, the living space is about 1,500 square feet, it was built in 2008, and there is not an HOA. Now, as I mentioned, the key features is you can rent it out how you'd like, which I'll kind of break down in a second, but it's low interest and upfront cost. You're literally getting a $230,000 house that's really worth right now in the market about $240,000. You're getting a $240,000 house for $15,000. $15,000 before closing costs, but it's literally you're putting less than 10% down on this property, and you're able to own it without having to go out and obtain a loan and go and jump through all those different hoops. It's really a great opportunity just for you to be able to own a property and it be yours, have all the benefits of ownership associated with it. As I mentioned, it is turnkey, no rehab is expected. The potential returns that you're looking at, so when we did look at long-term rentals in the market, the most that you're looking to get is about $1,700. Now, there are properties that are charging maybe $1,950, close to $2,000 per month. But if we're being realistic, as a long-term rental in this market, you're going to get about $1,700 a month, which obviously you would be losing money if you'd rent it as a long-term rental. Now, when we looked at renting by the room as a long-term rental, there's not a ton of comps, but from what we could find, just as the average, you're looking at about $750 per room per month. So if you were to do it that way, you'd probably be breaking even. Now you could always do that for the first couple of years, increase the rents every year, and then potentially you'll be able to start cash flowing after the first few years. But for the first couple of years, you more than likely would be breaking even just from what we found. Now, of course, because we are a company that focuses a lot on short-term rentals, we did run the numbers on AirDNA and it showed us about $26,000 a year, which again, you would be breaking even. Now, again, Killeen, Texas is a small market. So there is not a ton of comps, but that doesn't mean that there aren't properties that are being successful. We only found a couple that were actually 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in the market, being ran as Airbnbs somewhat consistently. And from what I could see, they're getting booked a decent amount. And just based on the really bad comps in the area, along with the good comps, it averaged out to about $26,000 a year. The confidence score is high for this number, so that's what you can kind of expect, unless you were to make it stand out in the market, which you absolutely have an opportunity to do because there really aren't a lot of people putting effort into design, management, and uniqueness, which you could obviously do. If we're being clear here, this is not a touristy area. A lot of people that are coming and staying are staying just for a functional living space. You don't have to go all out. But when we did run the numbers on adding a feature such as a hot tub, just a simple hot tub, just adding that one thing, the projection shot up to over $44,000 per year. Now, obviously, that would be a huge benefit. And hot tubs are a few $1,000s, but just that few $1,000 investment, jumping it up to $44,000 a year while being able to own a property without having to go out and obtain a loan or have a ton of cash, that is already a win. So that is a breakdown on the potential returns. Of course, do your own due diligence and decide for yourself. Now, they're looking to close by June 16th. So if you are looking to move forward and make an offer, please do so. Like I said, the EMD, the deposit is going to be $2,500 and the acquisition fee is $15,000. That just covers commissions. It does not include closing costs. Probably looking at a little under $20,000 all in. Parking, there's a garage and driveway. A lot of this isn't relevant because it's not a rental, but with a permit, if you were to run it as a short-term rental, it is needing to be registered with the city of Killeen. But from what we can see, they don't have any strenuous regulations. It shouldn't be difficult for you. All you really have to do is go online and register it. It has air conditioning, no HOA, and the washer and dryer and all appliances will be included. So if we just go down and we look at the numbers, if you run it as a short-term rental with the hot tub, $23.12 per month with a 15% buffer for additional expenses and $44,500 a year, you're looking at a monthly profit of about $1,000. That is if you were to run it as a short-term rental with a hot tub, just based on what we found online. Now, obviously, if you were to run it as a traditional short-term rental based on the $26,000, you're looking at a little bit of a loss here, about $500. You kind of have to weigh your options there and see if it's worth holding on to it for a longer period of time. If not, we understand. Of course, one of the other routes that you could always go is if you're somebody that's looking to relocate, maybe you want to switch things up, you want to own your own property, you're okay with moving, this might be a great opportunity for you to get a primary residence. Who knows? It's always something that you can make your primary residence for the first few years and then ultimately turn it into a long-term rental, a room rental, or a short-term rental once time passes. Now, we didn't talk about midterm rentals. We didn't even run the numbers on midterm rentals. This could also be a great opportunity for a midterm rental, especially if people are in the military and they might have to relocate. Midterm rental could potentially work. And who knows, maybe you could run it as a fully furnished midterm rental by the room. Instead of you getting $750 a month, you could potentially be getting $1,000 per room per month. So just take that into consideration. One of the great things about our company is we're really big on being creative. These are all creative finance deals and opportunities. So that kind of wraps it up for this property. If you guys have any questions, if you want to inquire about the property, potentially submit an offer or book a call, we will include all of that information in the description or the email, wherever you're seeing this. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.